Kia ora everyone. Welcome to the ACE RMO 2025 Gisborne webinar. My name is Sam and I am the ACE RMO consultant, and we're going to start off with an opening karakia by Dr. Isaac Bush. So thank you, Dr. Isaac. I'll pass over to you.
Whakatake hau ki te uru, whakatake hau ki te tonga. E mā kine kine ki uta, ki mā taratata ki kāre. E hi a ki ane te atakura, he toa, he uga, he hauhu, ti hei mau.
Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone for joining today's webinar. What we will do is we'll move into the panelist introduction shortly, but before that, I just thought I would give you a quick overview. So what I will do is I will share a video and a presentation, which our panelists will present to you, and then our RMO representatives will tell you a bit more about their experience as a PGY1 at the hospital. Towards the end of the webinar, there will be a live Q&A session. And then finally, we'll close off with a karakia. So just a reminder to all participants that you can drop your questions in the Q&A box. If you've got a burning question, you're more than welcome to pop it in there throughout the webinar. But just to note that we will answer all questions at the end of the session. So panelists, I'm going to hand over to you for introductions.
Hi, I'm Steve Hudson. I'm one of the general surgeons here in Gisborne.
Kia ora, I'm Perry Hornby. I'm one of the RMO coordinators here.
And I'm Isaac, I'm one of the PGY1s at Gisborne Hospital.
Thank you so much. So I will move into sharing the video.
Our place is so special. The sun wants to be the first to see it. People travel here from all over the world and from just down the road to feel a connection. Thousands return year after year. The cellar doors are open. Everything sounds better. The heavens are closer. The air is sweeter. We're pretty famous for these. And these. Everyone proudly rocks one of these, and one of these. But telling you isn't enough. Come see why. Tairāwhiti Gisborne.
Thank you for that. That was a lovely video. So I'm now going to share another screen, which will be the presentation. And again, I will hand over to our wonderful panelists to present.
Welcome, Tairāwhiti, the coast upon which the sun shines across the water. Our boundaries are from Matawai in the north through to Uhaka in the south and up to Hicks Bay in the east. Gisborne has an urban population of around 47,500. Our industries include forestry, farming, wineries and tourism. We're known for the first city in the world to see the sun. We have great sunshine, beaches, surfing, the Rhythm and Vines Festival, cycling, walking trails, free diving, deep sea fishing, hunting, wineries, cidery, craft beers, and great local hospitality. Gisborne Hospital itself, we're a rural, smaller hospital with 110 beds. We also have Te Puia Springs, a rural hospital, about 100k north of Gisborne on the east coast. It's all about community-orientated care. We've got a strong local workforce. We focus on rural health care, maternity and family care. We also have University of Otago trainee intern medical student programs, and we're known very much for the opportunity to have hands-on experience. Our selection process, we have a ranking panel which is made up of our Chief Medical Officer, 2 pre-vocational educational supervisors, a local GP, and RMO coordinators. We don't hold an interview for our ranking process, so this is where your cover letter is really essential. A one-pager detailing who you are, why you want to come to Tairāwhiti, your personal interests and your career interests. You need to really sell yourselves to us. It's good to have or know about your local connections you may have. You may have been a trainee intern here earlier, or a student with the hospital, te reo, and references from 2 hospital-based sources what we would like to see. But yeah, it's really about selling yourself with your cover letter. PGY1 attachments in general medical, there are 4, 3 ward-based house officers, and we have 1 covering the rehab day unit, the medical day unit, mental health unit, and these officers swap out halfway through the quarter. In general surgical, there's 4s in litho, urology, gynecology, adult, dental, and eyes. Orthopedics and ENT have 2. There will be a process where you'll repeat either general surgical or general medicine in one of your quarters. PGY2 attachments, anaesthetics, just 1 there. Our community-based attachments, we have 2 options here. We have a combined public health and a rural general practice, generally very popular, or the general practice itself, which we have here in the city. In the emergency department, we have 2 house officers. Pediatrics, we have 2. And there's the option of spending 3 months or 6 months, depending on your diploma of child health qualifications you may be working towards. In relief, we have 3 house officers covering ED, medical, orthopedics, pediatrics, and surgical. PGY3s plus registrars or senior house officers. ED, there are 7 slots. We are rural hospital medical accredited or non-training. In medical, we have 9, 1 advanced trainee, basic trainee, or non-training. Obstetrics and gynecology have 1. We currently have 2. Ophthalmology 1, non-training. It's part-time and non-set. Orthopedics 2, psychiatric 2, non-training. Surgical 2, non-training, 1 set and 1 non-set. PGY1 roster, no nights in your first year. We have a roster where 10 days on and 4 days off when working both days of a weekend. And we have 11 evening shifts per quarter allocated to PGY1s. Annual leave requests are accommodated as best we can when we write the roster. Weekends on or off, perhaps you can attach your annual leave to your rostered days off and lengthen your break there. We try to be flexible where we can with short notice or advanced leave requests. We do our best, and we just always encourage you to call in and talk it through with us. Medical education leave or MAL and house officer teaching. Courses include the Diploma of Child Health, Generic Surgical Science Examination or the GSSE, Advanced Pediatric Life Support APLS, Basic Assessment and Support in Intensive Care, Point of Care Ultrasound, Pre-Vocational Director of Training and Education PDOT, and Chief Medical Officer CMO approval, pending roster approved. Pre-vocational educational training committee with a PGY1 and PGY2 representatives. We find that invaluable to have your input. Weekly PGY1 formal teaching programs, PGY2 house officer training. You can access registrar and department training throughout your time. A day in the life of a Tairāwhiti house officer.
Yeah, so I picked Tairāwhiti because I came here as a TI, and I largely did that because I heard it's quite a small hospital, and you also get to do quite a lot of the, I guess, procedural skills and a bit more patient interaction, just you and the patient, I guess, compared to some other hospitals. I guess this year I've just been on the medicine run, so on my last week of the medicine run, and it's been really good so far. Busy at times, but other times it's a bit more relaxed, so you can kind of pick up the slack on some of the other teams. Quite enjoyed the process of working with the other house officers on medicine to kind of share the load when it gets quite busy. Surprised me the most, I think in my first attachment as a TI here, I kind of fell in love with the hospital bit because like I did psych and everyone would just come up and say hi and introduce themselves and introduce you to everyone else on the ward. And I think it was just a really warm environment, and I'd come from quite a big hospital in ALM 4 and 5, and so it was quite a change in that respect, and I just found it just a really welcoming community. So that was really quite a big draw for me here. Another somewhat surprising thing coming from a bigger hospital is you go to like the supermarket and you might see multiple people you've met at hospital just out in the community, and they'll all say hi to you, and it's kind of a much more personal experience, I guess, being a doctor here in many ways with the community. And I guess for some people that might be a bit scary, and other people that might find that quite nice. So a bit of a mix, but it's really cool. For me, a typical day, usually get into hospital about 7:30, start ward rounds, and on medicine would usually, depends on which boss you're with, but anywhere between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock you'll be finished. And then you have the rest of the day until about 4 o'clock to finish your jobs. We do have formal teaching once a week, so we have an hour for that. There's other learning opportunities like grand rounds and hour-long teaching as well. And then usually, depending on which run you're on, but usually you're out by about 4 o'clock or just past 4 o'clock. So I guess compared to some of the bigger hospitals, you get out much earlier so you can kind of enjoy your hobbies, and often people, get to go to the beach and the sun's still out when you leave hospital, which is always a bonus. So yeah, it's a good mix of engagement when you're actually at hospital and getting to see lots of patients and do lots of procedural stuff, and then also getting to enjoy your life outside of it as well. Thank you.
So it's my turn now. Kia ora. I'm Steve Hudson. I'm a general surgeon in Gisborne. I grew up in Gisborne, and I came back to Gisborne because I like Gisborne. It's got a great climate, and it's I like smaller communities to live in, and I think it's a good place to raise children. I actually came back here as a house officer in 1999 for a year, and I really enjoyed my year here as a house officer too. Quite a small group of house officers, and you get to know each other really well. Sort of, in my opinion, the difference, the Gisborne Hospital's point of difference is pretty clearly its size. It's probably one of the smaller hospitals in New Zealand. And so we all know each other. I don't think it's a stretch to say that all the consultants in the hospital know all the house officers by name, and we work quite closely together. So we've got a couple of registrars, but we don't have enough to cover the after hours shift. They only cover the after hours about half the time. So for half the time, it's just me and the house officer. So if the ED have got someone that needs assessment, the house officer will go and see that patient, and then they'll give me a call and tell me about the patient, and we'll sort of talk over it. If I need to come in and see the patient, I'll do that. But if it's a wound with some cellulitis, we can usually make a management plan and set that up without me having to come in. So, but certainly, I think all the consultants are very supportive of the house officers here, because we know there's just them and us really. So we have quite an open relationship, get on quite well. I think usually most of the time. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'm the pre-vocational education director of education and training, and I take teaching sessions. What makes me passionate about educating up and coming doctors. So I think, arranging the teaching program for the house officers is important. I think what I like about the process of education is watching the house officers come in pretty green, because they've just come out of med school. They're basically trainee interns, and by the end of the first year, getting into the second year, they get quite cocky and self-confident, and and so there's this real growth from initially being quite unsure and asking about everything to, in the second year they're doing nights and managing, unwell patients fairly independently often, and watching that growth and change in the house officers is really rewarding. Yeah, I think Gisborne's a great place to live and to work. We tend to value our time outside of the hospital in Gisborne. There's not a university here. There's no academic surgeons doing research papers. We tend to have our interests outside of the hospital, and we understand that a lot of people who come here are of a similar mindset. So yeah, no, I think it's a good, friendly, small hospital where I think you'll learn a lot and have a lot of hands-on experience, seeing patients and admitting patients, and come to Gisborne.
So why come to the first city to see the light? The generalist hands-on experience, you can ask any of the house officers who have worked here, and I think Isaac touched on that earlier. Culture, we're really culturally rich. It's not just a tick box, you live it, and you get to make a difference. Small and supportive, we're like a family, and as both my panelists have mentioned, that's inside the hospital and outside. It's a great place to work, not just clinically, and this is a bit where I'm supposed to say the RMO coordinators are pretty special as well. I think we work hard to do that. Travel times, we don't have travel times, so I know if you decide to bike to work in the fairer weather, you may add 10 minutes onto your travel time. Free parking. We're one of the very few hospitals to have this. Great weather. Just need to check out the summer temperatures. You'll see them featuring on the news or on the weather reports. Good wines. We're the unofficial Chardonnay capital of Aotearoa. We're also the home of Harvest Cider and the Sunshine Brewery. Excellent surf, many stunning beaches. The opportunity to have a great work-life balance. You get to immerse yourself in all sorts of things in the great outdoors here in Tairāwhiti. Ralph Waldo Emerson obviously has visited Gisborne when he wrote, "Live in the sunshine, swim in the sea, drink the wild air." That sums us up beautifully. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you so much. That was really informative and a lovely presentation that was put together. So we'll move on to the Q&A session. Starting off with, what are the top key things that you look for in an applicant during the ranking process?
The cover letter can give you a good feel. And sometimes it's like surprisingly obvious, that they've sent out the same letter to a number of places and they haven't changed the name from one letter to the next. Sometimes it's real obvious that Gisborne is not high up on somebody's list. So take your time with your cover letter. If you're really intending to put Gisborne first in your ranking category, make it obvious to us in the way that you write the letter that you're real keen on Gisborne. ACE give us a ranking based on your referees and your marks at school, at med school and stuff, and so that's also taken into account. And if you've come here and been with us and worked with us, that counts for a lot too, because if someone's come out and made the effort to come all the way out to Gisborne and show their face, then that certainly is helpful. So I guess that's three things. Well, we don't get a lot of information on some people. We get a cover letter and there's only so much you can write in a cover letter, really. We get references. So it's often really hard to tell people apart when you've got, 100 things. Well, I don't know, how many did we have last year to read through? You're trying to read through 50 or 60 different applicants' letters, and it just becomes a blur of generic letters. So if you've been here to see us, that certainly sticks in the mind. And if you've done really well on the ranking, that's certainly helpful. And if your cover letter really speaks to your involvement in community and your that the fact that you'll be fit in well with our community and help, then that's helpful too.
Thank you, Steve. So cover letters are important and should be quite a standout for you guys too as part of your selection criteria. Then what is the average accommodation costs, or is accommodation easy to find?
I think it's easier than it was. We went through a really tight period there for a while. All the house officers have got accommodation, and everyone seemed to find accommodation fairly quickly at the start of the year. I was worried it would be difficult, but everyone's been not too difficult, is it?
Yeah, it's kind of, I guess my experience of it was you can usually find somewhere to stay. Like initially it might just be through like a Facebook page and you might be staying at someone's house, and then you meet some people and then they'll just know someone. It's more like a by mouth. You kind of like pick up contacts and they'll just say that someone has a spare room in their flat. Was my experience of kind of finding a place to live. But you can definitely get places that are pretty affordable.
And if it's needed for a short period of time, we actually have accommodation here on the hospital campus that you can use.
And then just Dr. Isaac, is there any sort of RMO community group chats that they can link in with regards to accommodation or any other sort of common queries about the area?
Do you mean like in Gisborne, just the Gisborne RMOs?
Yeah.
There is, I guess, like we've got a group chat for work. There isn't necessarily one. I guess we could create one if people had questions. And it's such a small cohort. If there's questions, I'm happy to just ask, and that would be pretty easy to get back to people.
I think once if you're selected to come to Gisborne, then certainly we could make contact with that group of people who are selected to Gisborne. We could certainly, and in the past, doctors who are moving on have often left their flats for doctors who are coming in.
Our logistics team approach quite regularly with opportunities for rentals or accommodation. They keep that listing and that's circulated to the RMO regularly as well, so we can pass that information on.
What are the food options like at the hospital?
I'll start off.
Okay, you go.
I say pretty varied, and what I enjoy is how we accommodate vegetarian and gluten-free options for people with restrictions, or that's their choice. It does change out regularly and seasonally, and there's actually a highlight each day of checking the information board of what's the hot dish on the menu today.
Yeah, I guess because for me, I've got a few different allergies, and so it usually, really caters pretty well for me. And there's always, the hot food, and then there's like sushi,
and like a few different options. If you can't have like the hot food for that day, there will be other things to eat. So I've never struggled. I've got quite a few allergies and I've never struggled for food during the day. So I think they do a pretty good job, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a cabinet with sandwiches and sushi, and then there's a hot place with pies and quiche, and then there's the meals that they produce for lunch and dinner, which are, you know, separate from the other stuff. So there's soup during the winter. Good coffee, and great muffins, actually.
Yeah.
Really good muffins.
Yeah.
The signature dish is a muffin, I think.
Great, thank you. Do you have an interview process at all as part of your selection criteria?
Nope.
No, we don't. We mentioned that
Yeah, no,
in the earlier slide, and that's where the cover letter and selling yourself, letting us know a little bit more about yourself. Let us recognise that you have researched Gisborne, or maybe you're just returning home. Those are the things we'll look for.
connections to Gisborne, or relatives. So.
Seems like that is all the questions we have for this afternoon. So thank you again for your time today and for the introductions and the video and the presentation. It was really informative. So I will hand over to Dr. Isaac to close off with a karakia. But before I do, if by chance there has been any questions or burning questions that you haven't managed to pop into the chat box, you're more than welcome to contact the RMO unit directly. And if it's anything regarding the ACE process, please feel free to get in touch with me. All the contact details for ACE is on the ACE RMO website. So Dr. Isaac, over to you.
Unuhia ki te urutaki nui, kia wātea, kia māma te nā. Te ngākau te tinana te wairoi i te ara tangata. Ua rāia rongo, whakaere ake ki runga kira. Kia tīna, wea tai kia.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you, Sam.
Thank you.
Bye.